and just show you what I'm talking about. So if I was running a risk workshop for you right now I've got a wine and dine program here. So I put multiple projects in it. From a risk perspective, if I was running this workshop, and I'm doing something fit for purpose here, we're talking about what we did today. Garrett, if you want to grab this for me. So we're going to pick a random attendee, hopefully somebody that, what part of town did you come from?
Let's say Galleria. That's not where I came from, but that's a busy part of town where I live.
For you today, what was the biggest risk? Were there any risks that would have stopped you from coming altogether?
Actually, yes. There was a huge risk where there was an accident, possibility of an accident, and I saw it on the right lane of me, right-hand side.
So put an accident in there. Now, you saw it.
I saw it. It almost happened.
Now, thinking back to this morning, if I had asked you, you think you're going to run into an accident, or you think you'll be okay just coming from the Galleria?
I think I will be okay.
So if I said probably going to happen or probably not?
I would say probably not.
Garrett, I got a probability. I can't see it too well here, but here, I'll do it right.
However,
No, zoom out.
let's add to that.
Okay.
I did not.
Probably not.
I did not anticipate that I would be taking the Sam Houston Highway. So I wasn't aware of my risk.
Zoom out. So you weren't aware. So you changed your scope.
Right, so I have a scope change.
So we would have change ordered at that point. So if I said, and I'm doing it simple here, right? We're not doing too many things, because you could do this in any risk workshop. Now, my impact. If I said your two options are, if there is an accident, not that bad, or really bad.
Really bad.
Really bad. So I score that in there, really bad. Now it's giving me a yellow score up here. So I've got a matrix, and all I did was ask you, is it probably going to happen? And you said, probably not. I put it in English language now instead of statsy stuff. Probably not going to happen, but if it did, it's really bad. That's a yellow. When I can go up now and I look at this from a portfolio point of view, I put a bunch of projects in here as well. The original speaker tonight is supposed to be George Clooney. Big risk. Just couldn't fit in his schedule. We'll put that as a risk. We knew it was going to happen. He probably wasn't going to show up. We're going to have to settle. For me, that's the mitigation. I'm the mitigation plan. We've got a program level risk as well. So when we look at this, now because I got everything in one database, I can look at this, and I've got all sorts of dashboards and charts, but I can get this and quickly go, you know what? When I look at this, these are my biggest risks for my whole program now. Here's my riskiest project is actually the program part. If one person doesn't show up other than George, yeah, we miss a person in the audience, but it's not going to derail things. Your program, if you don't get the venue, we're going to have a problem, because then we can't get invites sent out. You don't know about catering, the wine, all that stuff. So when I look at it, it shows me that's the biggest project. George Clooney's here. Me getting here became it's a separate sub-project. We've got all of this stuff. We can see bubble charts of different projects, mitigation steps. Have we done them? Hey, we did one. It's in progress, and one's complete. Hey, that's good. We're doing what we said we're going to do. It'll show us if we're late on stuff. And then we can start drilling down into it. And then you can look at this, and I say, if this is the big issue, I can drill into it, and it shows me. And Garrett, you can zoom into it a little bit on screen so you can see it up there. Yeah, zoom.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's good. So, ran out of wine. There's my big risk. On a scale from 1 to 10, and when I make a risk matrix even, one of the things, make it intuitive. People, when they speak English, they go, on a scale from 1 to 10, how bad would it be? If I make my risk matrix on a scale from 1 to 10, if I tell you running out of wine on a scale from 1 to 10 would be a 10, does everybody know what that means intuitively? It just speaks for itself. So, and I can drill into this. Now I can see, what are we doing to mitigate that guy? So I can drill into it and say, are we actually doing the right stuff? You know, for that's an easy one. Hey, get more wine. It's not going to be that big a deal. Or, hey, there's a Kroger across the street. You know, Garrett's got a credit card. He'll run and get it. So I'll get those mitigation steps, and I can see all of that in there. So this is going to happen, blah, 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 blah. That's, we know to mitigate. Now, I made a schedule, too. So on some of these sub-projects, I did one right here for Chris's bit of work. I did a Microsoft project one to make it real easy. Do a Primavera one, it pops in the system. Either way, where's the Monte Carlo come into play? Garrett, if you can just log me into this bit. Oh, you don't even have to, well.
It's probably timed up.
Yeah, I had it logged in for quite a bit.
Yeah, it's timed up.
Super, super, yep.
So the question is, it looks like you can kind of do things both ways. You can run the quantitative thing and you get a distribution, or you can do it on what you'd call a judgment. Because things, if they have a 30% probability, you can also say either it really isn't or it is.
Yep.
And therefore you get two different cost numbers as well, and you can actually look at what you think is a realistic thing.
Absolutely.
As well as the so-called quantitative distributed.
And if you do it smartly, you can disconnect it from the cost or from the schedule and the estimate and still have it correct as an adder. You didn't do as much work and it wasn't as difficult, but if you got to the finish line the exact same way,
A lot of things are easier to handle with best judgment call than they are to try to put 32% probability with an uncertainty or whatever you want to do.
and it'll do all that type of analysis. Like this is the schedule I put in here. Oh, that isn't the schedule. It is a schedule. But I take this now, and I've got my Gantt chart. I put it in from, this was actually a Primavera schedule that we put in. This is my little Microsoft project one. I dumped it into my web tool. When I ran my Monte Carlo analysis, hey, I got all of my charts are popping up for me. You know, all of these are designed. They write the word reports for you. It's slick and all that stuff. But the thing I'm worried about, and it really is bugging me, are we going to get our wine on time? I drill into that one, and it shows me we're not getting our wine until tomorrow. Now we need to talk about this. We need to mitigate it because this is a must finish on date. We have to get everything by this date. And if we don't have everything ready for the event, now I need to come, and that's why I'm doing the stats analysis, right? I don't need to do it always. I need to manage this constantly. But now I might do a stats analysis on a sub-project or the whole project because I need to see that data and what's driving that to happen. So I could look at my tornado charts and say, hey, what's causing that to happen? Same thing on your estimates. Like log me in, same information. Password is I am the best. Okay. Yeah, and password never works. Same type of thing we would do on the estimate, and this is where it really does hook to Janus. We're just taking a cost estimate right here, doing all this stuff relative to the cost estimate, min, likely, maxes, risk events that may or may not happen. When it runs through and does it, you get the same kind of look. Now this is going to tell you your costs. It's going to tell you your reasons for the cost, your tornado type chart. So what is driving that? So if I see something's going to escalate, can I attack that line item? So this is the type of stuff, you know, and for me, it's always, hey, can you make this easy? If I can make this guy come out real easy, and I can show this to management or I can get it emailed to them real quickly, now people are going to get attention to where it should be, and they're going to be looking at the right things. Because the fanciest stats analysis in the world, it doesn't matter if you don't actually manage the risk. And everyone somehow managed to get here tonight, so they did it without you know, they did it in their mind. Now when you start managing millions of dollars of people's money, it becomes a lot different. And it's not something you can do everything up here. You've got to have a little bit of help, and you've got to get visibility because not everybody in the room is getting the ability to do all that stuff. So, you know, pull out these reports, slick, quick stuff like this, and it gets people in the area where they're saying, hey, you know, you really need to handle the piping on this job. The piping is blowing you up. And now, even if your stats analysis is a little bit off, it doesn't matter because you're going to go in and say, what do we do to make that better? and you're probably going to run another analysis off of that once you make some decisions. So it needs to be repeatable because this is supposed to be helping you make decisions. Well, once you make a decision, your profile changes, you should be running it again, you know? So this is kind of the look of what, you know, we're trying to do. And if we're doing it that quickly on just people's car rides and programs and putting this together, it's no different on a project. The only difference is instead of me coming up here and saying, how'd you get to work? Or how'd you get to this event? I'd be asking a piping engineer, what's the problem? Why is it, oh, the plot plan is too dense, and we're having to move equipment just to get the piping in. But it's no different. He's just speaking to you in English. He's, hey, we don't have enough room to do the piping. Because of that, we got to move stuff. And it is happening, and it is bad. Oh, okay. Can we do anything about it? Nope. And that's where we take that you know, we're going to have change orders then. Goes to your system, we change the estimate, we redo this. So all of this, just like you said, the schedule has to be a living, breathing document, doesn't it?
It is. It's all a living, breathing document. Your theory of constraint changes at any time. As soon as you find one, another one may pop up after you mitigate one. So my question to you about this as well, so when you come out to organizations, is it based on the project, or organization, or?
It's always different based on the project. The organization, it depends. People that we've gotten to work with a lot over the years, I don't mind at least saying good things about people on camera. BP, one of their refineries, Cherry Point up in Bellingham, Washington. They've done this over and over.